Okay, we are headed for Montreal. I should say a word or two about this toque that's on my head. They're a loose knitted headgear, ideal for winters, and a lot of Canadians wore them. I've worn these toques all my life. There's only two things that aren't so good about them. One, because they are loose knitted. If the wind is blowing in the wintertime, the wind tends to go through a toque pretty good. But, and the other thing, if you're working outside in the winter, I've found that they tend to kind of work up on your head, and pretty soon your ears are uncovered and they get cold. But other than that, they're a great piece of headgear. I've gone to hockey rinks where they've thrown toques and teddy bears in a truck that drives around the ice, and all for to serve a donation for people who need it. Okay, let's go take a look at Montreal. We're going to look at some of the great things in Montreal, like the Cathedral of Notre Dame. And we're going to go up to Mt Tremblant, up in the North Country, in the Laurentians. So come along, it'll be fun. Just before we get to Notre Dame and Tremblant, let's take a little more look at more things in the city itself. Former warehouses in the downtown and waterfront areas, like this one, have been converted to condos and apartments. The downtown farmers market has existed in this building for many years. Before the era of the automobile, horse-drawn carriages carried goods to the market from nearby agricultural lands, now consumed by urban expansion. You can ride this horse-drawn carriage in the downtown area. It is a continuing part of a long-standing Montreal tradition. At one time, the two best-known places in the world for horse-drawn winter sleighs was in St. Petersburg, Russia, and in Montreal, Canada. Montreal changed with the world as new technology became the norm everywhere. And back then, like today, Montreal is no stranger to the snow. In a big city like Montreal, there's no shortage of places to eat out, and we enjoyed them all. We read the wine menu at this restaurant, and I just had to photograph the wine list. So I'll tell you what, you buy the wine here, and I'll buy the next wine at the next restaurant, but the restaurant of my choosing. Those figures on the right are in dollars. At the top, prices start at $140 per bottle, and you can follow down the list to where the highest prices jump from $550 to a high of only $800 per bottle. I guess it's a question of just how much you like wine and how much money you got in your back pocket. We climbed this tower along the St. Lawrence River to get a better bird's eye view of the place. We went up the spiral staircase that was inside the tower. We got a great view of the river. The St. Lawrence is one giant of a river, biggest in Canada. Look at the brown building on the far left of this picture. It's another long-standing of something Montreal, headquarters for the popular beer Molson Canadian. The Montreal Molson Brewery is the oldest in Canada, and the beer is still as good as it used to be. No trip to Montreal is complete until you have visited Notre Dame Basilica. It is recognized internationally as a masterpiece of Gothic Revival architecture, and as being amongst the most dramatic in the world. This Montreal icon is one of the most visited monuments in North America. It is totally beautiful inside. When it was built in 1656, it stood as the largest church in North America for 50 years. Some claim that its intricately designed interior and stained glass make it more impressive than its counterpart even in Paris. Its American designer, an Anglican named James O'Donnell, was so impressed with the final product that he converted to Catholicism on his deathbed. This was the location of the state funeral for famed and unequaled Montreal Canadian hockey player Maurice the Rocket Richard. It also held the state funeral for Quebec esteemed Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau, whose Montreal's international airport bears his name. And another point of interest, it was the site for the wedding of Quebec's celebrated singer Celine Dion. The cathedral was not beyond conflict over the years and was actually gutted by fire twice. It happened in 1759 when the French lost to the British in the ultimate battle for North American supremacy on the Plains of Abraham in Quebec City. The other time was in 1922 when a Canadian faction of the Ku Klux Klan set it on fire. High above the congregation sits the 32-foot pipe organ, which was the world's first with adjustable combinations of pedals operated by electricity. The resulting sound of the organ is moving and inspiring. You could buy t-shirts designed with pictures of Quebec humor. Religion seeks a higher level. Just look at the progression of man from ape on the left to the ultimate being you see on the right. When you're in Montreal, there is certainly two tours that you should take. One, of course, is a tour of Notre Dame. And the second one is a tour or a ride with the Petite train du Nord, the little train of the north. It's on the north side of Montreal, and it's a former railway line. It runs through the Laurentian mountains to the world-renowned four-season resort called Mt Tremblant and beyond. This 230-kilometer line now is a beautiful winding cycling and walking recreational trail with an asphalt or crushed stone surface the entire distance. This former Canadian Pacific Railway line ran a number of years at a financial loss as it carried tourists into vacation country from the 1930s to into the 1960s. Enjoyed both by individuals and cycling clubs alike, this recreational trail is a must-do experience if you can. Here are some pictures I took as we cycled the route. This was the first time I ever saw a cycle repair station along a bike trail. These stations had an air pump and a variety of pliers, screwdrivers, and wrenches that made it possible to change flat tires and conduct minor bike repairs. I couldn't help but be somewhat impressed when I saw some rest areas like this one that was designed with a railway theme. One big advantage was that towns with the infrastructure associated with the tourist area was already in place when the railway was converted to a recreational trail. Communities with supportive sleeping and eating facilities, grocery stores and camping grounds had already been developed along the line. Some former train stations have been converted into bike shops, restaurants, and tourist information offices, which makes it really a nice place to ride. The line runs again north of Montreal through several communities between Saint Jerome in the south and Mount Laurier in the north, a distance of about 200 kilometers, as you can see by the sign here at Mount Laurier. About midway along the trail is Eastern Canada's largest and most well-known four-season resort. Mt Tremblant is an Algonquian indigenous word meaning trembling mountain. Tremblant, trembling. Both the sun and snow are the order of the day deep in the Laurentians. It is really a pretty beautiful country. Even though it was summertime, the ride to the top on the chairlift was the highlight for me. Here's a couple of more pictures that I took as we rode up the chairlift. The ride down the chairlift was just as good and exciting. I really enjoyed coming down into the town and looking at the resort from above. The village was modern and first class with pools, spas, restaurants, shops, and a casino and a golf course. We continued to get a kick out of these t-shirts in the tourist shops that depicted Quebec humor about Canada and the great outdoors. And finally, I had to show you this photograph I took of my friend Fred trying to sit comfortably in this gigantic Adirondack chair at the top of the mountain. I don't know if you've seen the other videos we've made on Montreal and Quebec, but we've also gone up to Quebec City as well as Montreal. A great place. We had a great time. So hit the subscribe button and follow us along on our visit to a great province, La Belle, Quebec. And finally, au revoir, mes amis.